Hey everyone, Derek here with Concept AgriTek. I want to take a few minutes here this morning and talk about some of our early post-emergent products that we really want to focus on as we head into the growing season here. You know, a lot of corn is getting out of the ground, you know, V2, V3 stages, even some soybeans that got in early. You know, we're going to be making post-emerge applications here shortly. So a couple of products we want to focus on. Let's start with the corn. When we make that post-herbicide pass, usually around V3 to V5 for most of you, that's a critical time when it comes to ear determination. So we've had great success applying a micronutrient package at that time, which fits the mold with our NutriTek product. NutriTek is a combination of 7 different micronutrients. But what's interesting, or what makes NutriTek different than most foliar micronutrient packages on the product is our TransMax technology that's inside of the NutriTek. TransMax is a systemic form of translocation within the plant. Much like Roundup was when it first came out. We still use that today, but Roundup was designed to kill to the root. Well, we kind of took that same principle and added it to some of our foliar products, hence the birth of the TransMax products. So that allows us to apply a lower use rate and actually get translocation of those nutrients throughout the plant. So NutriTek is one that definitely want to encourage. Sweet Fulvic, we've talked a lot about as a company. That is a great adjuvant, if you want to call it that, to add into these post-herbicide applications to help with drift, help drive the chemistry into the plant, and then also provide a little bit of even pH adjustment to our herbicide applications, which is something we need to be keeping an eye on as well. Then let's switch gears real quick to soybeans. Early post soybean applications, there's a couple things that I think hold very true. That you've got to pour the micronutrients to the soybeans early in order to build the bank, you might say. And next thing about it too is when you're trying to grow higher yielding soybeans, you need to try to create the structure, right? You hear that term a lot when it comes to soybean production. Well, what we found is that you need the building blocks of that structure to be calcium, number one. And so actually, we've sprayed a lot of CalBor later in the season with our R3 and maybe even R5 applications to try and, increase seed size, reduce stress on the plant. But last year we actually did quite a bit of testing internally, showing that the addition of CalBor in these V3 to V5 applications, up to R1, produced a significant difference in branching. Because that's something that I think we all struggle with, is we can create these branches, but they're not strong enough to be able to support the pods and the blooms that we're desiring. And the answer to that is more calcium in the plant. Another piece that I would look at adding to the CalBor for these post-emerge herbicide passes is AminoGro. And there again, that's the amino acid complex from Concept AgriTek that here again is aimed at improving photosynthesis. Converting the nitrogen that we're taking from the atmosphere with our soybeans and converting that into proteins and sugars in the plant, usable energy within the plant, making it more efficient. So CalBor, AminoGro with our post-emerge herbicide passes is a great option on soybeans. NutriTek, Sweet Fulvic, a great option on corn. Now, obviously, we've got a lot of other products that we could look at as well, and we'll look at those on a one-to-one basis with you. But if you'd like to learn more about these things and try to have some dialogue about the kind of products that we offer at Concept AgriTek, please reach out to us. But the number one place to find us is at www.conceptagritech.com.